Tip number 278 from the book 501 Contractor Tips. Dealing with unexpected problems on the job site. And a lot of times in your contract, and this is the chapter on contracts, and I can't tell you how many times the information I had in my contract saved me from a lot of grief. And this is really what the contract is. If the homeowner chooses not to read it, or your subcontractors choose not to read it, or the people, contractors you're working for, that could be a big mistake on their part. I remember a guy one time put in the contract that I was responsible for cleaning up the entire job site. And I said, wait a minute here, this is ridiculous. And he said, oh, I'm sorry, my mistake. Stop it. He knew what he had in there, and this is where you have to understand that if it's in the contract and you sign your name, you could be held responsible for it and liable for this stuff. So if you have it in the contract, and I cannot stress this enough, cover as much of it as you possibly can. And if it takes 100 pages to do so, you might need to do it. And again, I know we don't need to get carried away on this. If you're going to go replace the sink, hey, you don't need a 100-page contract. If you're building a 10-story building, you might. So that would be all relevant to whatever jobs you're working on. There have been problems before. I have dealt with problems that were misinterpreted in the contract. I remember one time I was doing a job and it said in the contract I was to get paid a certain percentage of the project after the drywall was hung. H-U-N-G, after it was hung. Well, they interpreted it as after it was finished. And I explained to them, I said, no, I should have wrote in there after the drywall sheets had been installed, not finished, and maybe specified that, not finished. Then there wouldn't have been a problem. But these are the things you're not going to be able to get all the time. You could be in this business 100 years and still be signing contracts thinking you have everything covered, and you don't. It's just the way it is. So termite damage, you're doing some repairs and you come across some termite damage and you have in your project that you will fix all repairs, you'll be responsible for the repairs, you could have a big problem here. A homeowner's responsible for the repairs. If you damage the property, are they going to be responsible for the repairs? I mean, where does it start and where does it stop? There's a fine line there. So again, problems in construction, they happen. They do. If you've worked in it for more than 2 or 3 years, you've ran into a problem, and these problems need to be addressed, but they do not need to cost you money. Make sure that you do not have someone else's problem become your responsibility.